This naturalrefrigerants.com article is being read by an automated voice. More regulation of F gases may be needed because of TFA link, says ECHA's updated PFAS proposal. By Michael Gary, published September 17, 2025. In an updated proposal to restrict environmentally polluting PFAS, per and polyfluoroalkyl substances, 5 European countries raised whether additional complementary risk management beyond the EU's F-gas regulation and the MAC mobile air conditioning. Directive is justified to regulate F-gases that form the very persistent degradation product trifluoracetic acid TFA. The updated proposal was announced on August 20th by the European Chemicals Agency, ECHA. It continued the same restrictions on most PFAS refrigerants, though some applications were given a longer exemption. The F-gas regulation and the MAC directive primarily target the GWP of F-gases, while the risks TE that have been identified in this restriction proposal, that is, those associated with the formation of very persistent degradation products, for example, TFA in the environment, are not addressed, the proposal said. Therefore, it is appropriate to explore whether existing legislation for F-gases, it added, remains appropriate to control these other identified risks. PFAS refrigerants include both HFCs and HFOs, such as HFC 125, HFC 134A, HFC 143A, HFO 1234YF, HFO 1234ZEEE, HFO 1336, ZEZZ, and HFO 1336 MZZE. The proposal would apply to TFA, an atmospheric degradation product of, notably, HFO 1234YF, 100% conversion, and HFC 134A, up to 20% conversion. TFA is absorbed in rainfall, spreads throughout the environment, and has raised concerns about its potential impact on human health. The updated proposal was prepared by the authorities from Denmark, Germany, the Netherlands, Norway, and Sweden, who submitted their initial proposal in January 2023 for what is known as the Universal PFAS restriction. ECHA regulates chemicals under the EU's REACH, registration, evaluation, authorization, and restriction of chemicals regulation. The 5 state authorities, acting as the dossier submitter, updated their initial restriction proposal following an evaluation of more than 5,600 scientific and technical comments received from third parties during the 2023 consultation. This updated report, called the Background Document, forms the basis for the opinions of ECHA's Risk Assessment Committee, RAC, and Socioeconomic Analysis Committee, SEAC. This document may still be updated further based on the evaluation of the committees. The RAC and SEAC committees continue to evaluate the proposed restriction. ECHA said it aims to provide the European Commission with a transparent, independent, and high-quality RAC and SEAC opinion as soon as possible. The European Commission will ultimately decide on the restriction in consultation with the EU member states. The universal PFAS restriction is expected to take effect in 2028. This is still a work in progress, said Marc Chassereau, CEO of Atmosphere, publisher of naturalrefrigerants.com, and lead campaigner for the Coalition for PFAS-Free Cooling and Heating. There are still many steps until the law takes effect in 2028. We, on behalf of natural refrigerant alternatives to PFAS refrigerants, will ensure that authorities have the latest information showing the viability and commercial availability of these alternatives so that the final PFAS regulation is as ambitious as possible. CO2 equivalents may be misleading. The proposal pointed out that the F-gas regulation measures use emission volumes in CO2 equivalents based on an individual gas's GWP value rather than calculating volumes in metric tons. However, when considering the degradation of F-gases in the atmosphere into TFA, the relevant measure is metric tons, while CO2 equivalents may be misleading. Moreover, the proposal added, while the F-gas regulation typically allows refrigerants with a GWP under 150, those refrigerants have the highest potential to form TFA in the atmosphere. For example, HFO 1234YF, GWP less than 1, which is widely used in MAC, converts 100% into TFA in about 2 weeks. The EU estimates that through 2050 business-as-usual emissions of HFO 1234YF will increase sharply until they level out or increase further, albeit at a lower rate, the proposal said. No reduction of emissions is envisaged. If emissions of TFA precursors like HFO1234YF to the environment continue, TFA's concentration in the environment will increase given its high persistence, high mobility, and the difficulty of removing it from water. The proposal noted that increasing concentrations of substances like TFA are already being detected in freshwater and the terrestrial environment. Under the EU's CLP, Classification, Labeling, and Packaging, regulation, TFA is classified as aquatic chronic 3, H412, harmful to aquatic life with long-lasting effects, and skin corrosion 1A, H314, causes severe skin burns and eye damage. In May, 3 German government agencies announced that their assessment of TFA and its trifluoroacetate salts as reproductively toxic, very persistent, and very mobile was officially submitted to the ECHA for consideration under the EU's CLP regulation. Concerns about TFA-related harm to human health are limited to effects at high doses in experimental animals. Liver effects, increased liver weight, hepatocellular hypertrophy, increased ALT, increased kidney weight, decreased white blood cells, reduced weight of reproductive organs, litter loss, reduced body weight of offspring, and malformations, the proposal said. The original 2023 proposal noted that many different PFAS co-occur in the environment, drinking water, food, and in human blood. Thus, there is combined exposure to multiple PFAS, many exhibiting similar effects on the liver, kidney, thyroid, serum lipids, and immune system. Accordingly, an assessment of hazards and risks taking into account such combined exposure would reflect more realistic exposure conditions than single compound assessments, the proposal said. Following a request from the European Commission, the European Food Safety Authority, EFSA, is reviewing the health-based reference values for TFA. A conclusion is expected next year. Notably, despite the concerns expressed about TFA, the updated restriction proposal extended the timeline for exemptions given to TFA-generating refrigerants in mobile air conditioning. The fluorochemical industry points to the UN Environment Program, UNEP, and its 2022 Environmental Effects Assessment Panel, EEAP, report. The report says that TFA is not bioaccumulative, is not expected to pose significant risk to humans or the environment at the present time, and is unlikely to cause adverse effects out to 2100. The report does not comment on the contribution of pesticides and other precursors to TFA since they don't fall under the purview of the Montreal Protocol. The UNEP report noted that deposition of TFA from HFOs and HCFOs will result in greater concentrations near the locations of release. This is unlikely to present a risk to humans or the environment in these locations, but changes in concentration in surface water or soil would respond rapidly to releases, it said. Adding monitoring of the environment for residues of TFA would provide an early warning if trends in concentration indicate rapid increases.